Call this meeting to order. Would you please rise and join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item number 3. Just like to remind everyone, our mission is to encourage everyone to see and be his or her personal best through successful learning experiences. Become your best. Item number 4, adoption of the agenda and consent agenda as the order of business with identification of items to be taken off the consent agenda for discussion or separate action. Need a motion? First and second, all in favor say yes. Yes. Opposed? All right, we'll move to item 5, consider approval of consent agenda as adopted. To A, approve minutes from the February 15th, 2022 Board of Education meeting. B, to approve the financial report for the period July 1, 2021 through February 28, 2022. And to approve bills for the period of February 1, 2022 through February 28, 2022 in the amount of $2,408,814.31.
Second.
First and second, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
Okay, board and district leadership strategic planning. Legislative update, Mr. Mella.
Yes, thank you. We meet with our legislators next Monday. Actually, this is the second month in a row where it's a little off kind of series of Mondays. But as a group of superintendents in the county, we've talked about our approach and what we're looking for to discuss with them. And so one of the things, again, is the fact that the school districts in the state of Wisconsin have been frozen at the 2020 funding levels on a per pupil expenditure level. And so we want to reiterate to them that the labor market is tight, as most people who run businesses here know, and the economy is chugging along full steam, and so it's causing inflationary pressures. There is a teacher shortage, if you don't know that, just like there's a lot of other labor types of shortages. And so now we've got the situation where teachers have the opportunity to go between districts, and so the inflationary pressures get passed to us, because when we're looking to hire somebody, they have the ability to see what everybody else is making. And so we're going to talk about the same pressures that every other business has in order to have really good quality people here. And we pride ourselves on having excellent people and then having a lot of professional development to always help them learn and grow. And so we want to make sure that we're able to do that. And in order to do that, we need to have the state continue to go back to what they always have done in the past, which is to give small annual increases. Almost every year, there's a little bit of a bump just to help deal with some inflationary pressures. And this year we're with the labor market being so tight, it's important. So we'll bring that up with them and talk about a few other minor legislative issues that they're bringing our way, and we'll keep pushing for that. So that's my update.
Okay. Thanks, Dan.
Mm-hmm.
Academic Pillar of Excellence. Consider approval of summer school courses for the 2022 summer school program. Summer school will be held June 21st, 2022 through July 22nd, 2022. And Abby Ward.
Hi again.
Hi again.
I guess I'm just here to ask for your approval of the course guide, which I think Katrina printed off for you. I kind of spoofed it up a little from years past. It needed an update. But that is where we stand right now for courses for this summer. And I think it looks pretty good. And we've got probably 3/4 of the teachers hired. So committed at this point, which is really great.
That's awesome.
It's well ahead of schedule.
Yes.
Way ahead of schedule.
Well ahead of schedule.
We just need some kindergarten readiness teachers. But otherwise, we're doing really well.
So I do have just one question.
Yes.
As it relates to COVID and the gap created by COVID.
Yes.
Are there particular courses here, or is that a
Well,
different track?
last year
or-
we had the COVID catch-up,
Yep,
and summer school isn't doing that this year, but we went through with one of our special ed teachers, Chris Helmer.
Okay.
And he put together a really specialized sheet for each elementary and middle school teacher for specific reading and math targets,
nice.
and the programs and interventions that we're gonna use to get them where they need to be. So the elementary and middle school teachers will know, okay, this is where my child's at, this is exactly where we need to put them in summer school, which is better than we've had in the past.
Oh, yeah, that's
We just
great.
kind of had the class, but not, this is what they should be able to do to be in this class or out of that class. So I
Great.
think that'll work well.
Good, good,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yes.
All right, so we need a motion for this, or no, or is this?
Yes.
consider approval? Okay, so, we need a motion to approve the summer school.
Make a motion that we approve the summer school course as laid out in the paper here. Thank you for your work.
I just want to add one more thing. There were people at the board meeting last week that heard us asking for supplies and have generously emailed me and said that their business would like to provide us with those.
Nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I'll second.
thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There's a first and a second. Is there any more discussion? All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. Finance, Building and Grounds. Dan, you want to take this away?
Sure, I'll just kick it off and then I'll turn it over to Amy. She has the information. So we are going to discuss and consider the approval of a recommendation from our business office to accept the proposal for Finke Field turf resurfacing project at Plymouth High School. And I'll just mention that this is 100% donated dollars to do the turf at the field. And again, the impetus for this was the fact that we had to earmark $300,000 for next summer, this coming summer, in order to put a track resurface and also to do some drainage work in that field. There's some field work that needs to get done anyway with the amount of water that was collecting and also damaging the surface of the track. So that was the job that we needed to start with. And then there were some community members and others who thought that this would be the time if you were going to do a turf surface, which extends your playing seasons, it makes it multi-purpose for multiple sports. The band can always march on it, no matter what the weather, unless it's lightning. And I suppose it's so cold that their lips will stick to the instruments. But it extends, it does a lot of good things for us. And so we have crossed the threshold. We have already got commitments of $635,000 through our local businesses. Some of them will have signage up, and we're still going to move forward with that process. But with the bids for the track coming in, and there's ability for us to offset with some of that drainage, we really are there to be able to move ahead with the project and get going. But I'll turn it over to Amy. She's got some more information.
Just a little bit more. We're recommending that the district use Midwest Sport and Turf for this project. It's the same vendor that we used for our multi-purpose facility, the turf in there. So both areas would have the same turf from the same vendor. We already have a lot of the equipment that we use to maintain the indoor facility turf, which can then also be used for the football field turf. So we're asking for your approval so that we can move forward with the project.
I have one more thing. I think in the next meeting, assuming we approve this here today, we would start bringing forward the major sponsors and just letting people know who the major sponsors of the field are.
So we need a motion and just a second.
Just to clarify, there's really no extra dollars besides what's already been allotted for this project, correct?
Correct.
I move that we approve the recommendation and accept the proposal for the Field turf services project.
Second.
Okay, first and a second. Now, any other discussion regarding this? questions for Dan? Or Amy? And Amy, we do have, if we would have to touch funds in the short term, we can do that without affecting our slush fund, right?
operations,
So we're not gonna be,
Nothing would alter.
Okay.
Wouldn't have to short-term borrow.
there'd be no short-term borrowing at all. And
Correct.
ultimately, this is a net zero proposition, right? It's not gonna cost the district anything.
That's right.
Okay.
I think that one other time you said that this would be like a fix for maybe 15 years of life or so.
It's about, yeah, it depends on the wear and tear and how many, if it gets a lot of usage, that depends a little bit on that, but yeah. But you also don't have watering and pesticides and all of those types of things that, and fertilizers that go on that field pretty on an annual basis.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Oh,
Initial permanent subdivision.
Correct. Yep. And some people have, some of the major donors have said that prior to that happening, they'd like the opportunity to again re-up and to, if it needs to be replaced at that time.
But replacing is not the same cost as the upfront cost, correct?
No, it's about half, half of the cost. The turf itself is about $400,000-ish, and then some of the field work. We have some drainage to do for our track and everything, but some of the field work for underlayments is, another half of it.
any more discussion? All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, item B, consider gifts and corresponding budget adjustments. Dan, or
I think oh, that's me. Yep.
is that you?
That's me, yep.
Okay.
Gifts, we have a lot of gifts. I mean, we're a very generous community, and Abby just mentioned we had a little statement last week, and all of a sudden we've got things pouring in, so it's just a very generous community. So thank you in advance. So the gifts we have, the first set of gifts are from we're bringing in the Wisconsin Singers to Plymouth High School for a clinic, and in order to pay for that, we have a number of donations, so all of these are for that, the Wisconsin Singers coming in. Donation of $100 from Advanced Eye Care, a donation of $100 from American Senior Benefits, a donation of $100 from Drexel Building Supply, a donation of $100 from the Fig and the Pheasant, a donation of $100 from Glacier Transit and Storage, a donation of $200 from Joseph and Joseph Dental, a donation of $150 from LiftX Services LLC, a donation of $100 from Meinert Orthodontics, a donation of $100 from Meyer Motors, a donation of $200 from New Life Community Church, a donation of $100 from Timberview Family Dental, a donation of $200 from Waldo State Bank, a donation of $100 from Wally and Tracy Waldhart, and a donation of $200 from Zizaj Manching. I think that's how I pronounce it. So that was all for the Wisconsin Singers coming in. And then there is a donation of $1,000 from Wisconsin State Golf Association Foundation for the Girls Golf Grant. There's a donation of $500 from the Eugene Back family to be put towards Future Farmers of America program. There is a donation of $821.24 from Fairview PTO for transportation to the Spiker Pumpkin Farm, Shalom Zoo, Speaker, right? Speaker, yeah. Shalom Zoo, Henschel Museum, and The Little Farmer. A donation of $258.31 from Horizon Path for transportation to the fire station and Speaker Pumpkin Farm. A donation of $328.32 from Riverview Student Council for transportation to Camp Anakiji. a donation of $100 from the Girls Basketball Booster Club to cover the costs of the team, or for the team dinner. And I'll just mention along, we'll make all the adjustments with that, but as you hear, field trips are back in the world again. So they've been missing for quite a while, so it's a wonderful thing.
All right. Need to, a motion to accept these gifts?
Second.
First and a second, any discussion? Other than thank you very much to everyone who's made that donation. All in favor? Say yes?
Yes.
Opposed? Thank you again. Number 9, policy. Approve first reading of the Neola Policy Updates, Volume 31, Number 1.
So we have two policies that are different than, that are new policies that you had a chance to look at from last time. And so we'll talk about those. All the rest of the policies are statutory language, those types of things. And so I don't know if Kathy, if you want to take them through these two policies, or would you like me to do that?
You can jump in if I miss something.
Okay.
So we have two of them. The first one is 3310, employee expression in non-instructional settings. This just, I think, gives some guidelines for freedom of speech for employees. There are 4 examples underneath, and we can choose to keep all of those. None of them, take some in, some out. They are examples of what employees should do. So state clearly that the expression represents personal views and not necessarily those of the school district. Refrain from expressions that would disrupt harmony among coworkers or interfere with the maintenance of discipline by school officials. Not make threats or abusive or personally defamatory comments about coworkers, administrators, or officials of the district. And refrain from making public expressions which the employee knows to be false or are made without regard for truth or accuracy. That's the first one. Any questions about that? And then the second one is 1421, criminal history record check and employee self-reporting requirements. Do we not do a criminal history check?
We do.
Okay.
This just solidifies the policy. The bigger, newer part is the self-reporting requirement.
Got it.
That's the
Okay.
tag on.
So the self-reporting is if employees are charged, right? Not convicted.
Correct.
That's when struggles are charged.
Yes.
They have 3 calendar days to self-report, and they do not need to self-report traffic offenses unless it is operating under the influence. Everything else needs to be reported. And there's also part of the policy that if the district administrator needs to report, he would report to the board president.
So again, neither of these policies is required. They are, Neola recommends them. So we have the option to take them or not. Most districts, according to our liaison with Neola, most districts are taking these because they have other similar language in other areas.
And with regard to the select items here, all of this language is what's recommended, or?
That's why they're all redlined. It means,
Okay.
that means they would recommend that you take all 4.
Okay. All right. And this is approve the first reading?
Right.
So we're going to have a second reading then?
Mhm.
Okay. So tonight, what, we just approve the first reading, but if we decide to change this up, do we do that now or in the?
Between now and the at the second reading, we could choose at the second reading to not take it at all, or to
not-
modify.
Or modify at that point. All right, thanks. Just wanted to be clear on what we're doing here, so. All right. So if we get a motion a second, then we can discuss, and then from there, we can approve the motion, or the first reading.
Wait, reading them out loud first,
Yes,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
unless we want to.
thank you.
all the rest of them.
Unless we want you to read, do you want to read the whole thing? All right, all right, so, thank you. Point of order, we need a motion to waive the first reading, and then we can move to approval.
I have just a question. I don't really, the language itself doesn't really bother me, but if an employee in the school district does self-report, what does their policy state then? What is,
I'm sorry.
can't ask that question?
No, we should really just do this by rules of order. So we really should have first and second, then have to, so we should waive the reading, then we should have approval, and then we should have discussion.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry, it's,
I'll make a motion.
sometimes I'm a little.
Thanks for laying it
Yeah,
out for me.
yeah, yeah. So
I'll
waive.
make a
the-
motion to waive the reading.
All right,
Sorry.
thank you. All right, all in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Now, can I have a motion to approve the first reading?
Make a motion for the first reading.
And is there a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion, sorry, Dan,
No
but
problem.
that's on me.
Yeah, it just made me start thinking about, okay, someone does come in and tells Dan, hey, this is what I did, I'm being, I guess, I don't see, I see arrested, indicted, convicted, no contest guilty. To me, like, I guess if you're arrested, but if you were served with papers for something, or given a ticket, I guess that already was discussed. Anyway, so if there was if you were arrested for something, and you had to tell your district administrator what happened, where do we look at for that policy? What's the next steps?
The next step is our legal counsel. So what typically would happen would be, there might be an offense that might warrant somebody is just suspended with pay while an investigation moves forward, or there might be, it depends on the situation, but our legal counsel would kind of guide us in what is the proper step to take for the particular charge or event that's going on.
Do we do not have a written policy for any of those things, first offense?
We do, but
second offense?
it's general, so policy, I'd have to look it up, but we have to follow the law. But employees who do, there are things like immoral, there's language like that, immoral, illegal, those types of things. We have to report those to the state. There's a specific format that you have to do that with from the teaching side of things, but then we also have to follow, our guidelines related to, if it's a felony, you're gonna lose your license as a teacher, for example, but that's gonna take some time, so you gotta put somebody on suspension, and if it's contested, then it's gonna have to be a paid suspension. But if it's not contested, then it would be something where we could move right to dismissal. So it's gonna just depend on the individual case.
So does this expedite this, the kind of process of it by having them self-report? Is that kind of the intention behind this?
Right,
And
because,
and making them accountable?
correct, I suppose if somebody did something out of state, for example, that doesn't, a lot of states don't communicate with each other, so it puts the onus on the employee to be forthcoming and to say, because, it would make it faster.
Sure. And if they don't,
Then
it
it's,
could increase the penalties. So to speak,
Yeah. it could be grounds for dismissal in itself, probably.
Under the board policies, Dan, it would probably be under 3139 staff discipline. So pretty much anything in the 3,000s is going to be related to staff.
Other questions?
I guess I had a curious question on the 3310. I mean, how is this being, how are you held accountable with this? I mean, is it reported, teachers, or faculty, or students, if someone there's an infraction to this? Is this a little kind of wishy-washy on the accountability aspect of it?
Yeah, well, it can be from anywhere, particularly, social media would probably be the place where it is. And so where I've seen it in the past is where it comes to you from a staff member or a parent or something. Hey, I saw this, took a screenshot of it on Facebook, and we think this is inappropriate, and then we just take it from there.
Okay.
Kathy, I have questions. Is that some of this then? Okay. Are these included as part of this approval process right now? Yeah. And where can we find the complete set of this?
I can get them for you.
Okay. Because my concern, I was looking at how like the employee standards compared to the board of directors standards, and it says that it's like changing for us, but it doesn't exactly say what. Or the words for what the changes are, so I'm curious to see what those are.
So, the reason why only the person on the policy committee gets it is because it's probably like a staff about that. Like, if you have the certain policy and you email me tomorrow, I can email it to you.
Are they something like, I was looking to like a philosophy and state association still work, are those policies in there or something?
It's through Neola and board docs.
Okay.
Like through a program, like Neola is the one who we work with, and he's, Richard from Neola, he's the one who meets with us to discuss what policies we should take and recommend. But board docs is like the application that we use.
It just houses all the
Yeah, houses our documents. Like, it's very similar to what you see online off of our website when you go there. It's just that they're housed in a different area that only Dan and I can see when they're in a draft area, like under construction.
All right, other questions? So we have a motion and a second to approve the first reading. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? All right. Period for public participation. Has anyone signed?
No.
No? Then we will move on to board liaison reports. Community Ed, Sally.
Community Ed, they have a movie coming up, free for the public, here at the high school on March 31st. Community Ed classes that we have, cardio kickboxing. We have Friday play groups for families with young kids. April 9th, Saturday, will be a family swim time. We have lots of different fitness classes, aquatic classes. We have childcare available also this summer. And this summer, the youth athletic camps are being made. And there's a lot more. So just go on to Community Ed website and take a look, see what you want to sign up for.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you, Sally. Foundation, report from the foundation. We are in the throes of the scholarship evaluation and always looking for more support from the community. So please, if you are so inclined, contribute to the foundation. The money goes toward grants and it goes through scholarships. The grant committee is looking at some large grants right now, and again, it makes for a much more interesting and exciting educational environment when we have money to give for these great ideas that our staff brings forward. So that's a report from the foundation. We'll move to family resource. Dan.
Sure, I wanted to feature our workplace literacy program. Basically, that's a program that we provide that goes into the workplace to help teach the English language to business employees for ages 18 and up. And it can be done virtually or in person. It's a great program that any Sheboygan County business can get access to. It's relatively cost-effective and provides some great skills to your employees. So just wanted to feature the program. Jen Bolligy is your contact, and feel free to reach out to me otherwise and learn more. Thanks.
Thanks, Dan. Personnel. Dan?
Yes, we have a number that will need a approval, and then we have just one that is a staff one. So I'll read all the personnel, and then we can approve them all together. So first off, the board will consider approval of the retirement request from Tom Larson, art teacher at Riverview Middle School. The board will also consider the resignation of Christy Skoronsky, business education teacher at Plymouth High School, effective at the end of the 2021-22 school year. And then they'll consider approval of a 100% contract for Reed Hansen to be special education teacher at Riverview Middle School, beginning with the 2022-23 school year. Reed received his bachelor's degree from the University of Wisconsin, Green Bay, and it will be Reed's 16th year of teaching. So all of those would need your approval.
Need a motion?
Make a motion that we approve the ones that Dan just read.
And a second? All, first and a second, all in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? All right.
And we do have one support staff update. Havana Crook has been hired as a special education aide at Riverview Middle School. So, welcome aboard.
Item 13, travel. It's you again.
Yep. Travel, the board would consider out-of-state travel request for Romy Herrera, a Spanish teacher at Plymouth High School, to take students to Costa Rica in July of 2023. This request is in line with board policies. Expenses will be the responsibility of the students and their parents through fundraising. They've done this trip in the past a number of times.
How long will they be down there, do you know?
It doesn't say on here that.
9 days, they have a 10-day window because they get the cheapest flights, but they plan to be gone for 9 days.
Okay.
Great, thank you. All right, can we have a motion to approve?
Make a motion, we approve the out-of-state travel for the Costa Rica trip in July 2023.
Second.
So first and the second. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Wish them all a great trip. That sounds exciting. Item 14, consent agenda. There's nothing for that. Item 15, my report, President's report. My report tonight really is a follow-up to the committee of the whole meeting. We had what I would say was a really informative meeting in which we discussed transgender students, and we were fortunate to have our school district attorney, Tony Renning, to come and present on Title IX law and the case law and interpretation of those laws as it surrounds this topic. And I think the presentation was really good. I think we had excellent questions both from the public as well as from the board. And it goes without saying it's a confusing and difficult topic. But I think the takeaway that Lisa, that I received and some of the other board members is that there are just no sweeping universal policies that we can apply to this topic. From the information we gathered, it seems that what we've done currently as a school district is a good approach, that when a student identifies as being transgender, the school and the staff will work with the student on a case-by-case basis to create a plan that helps the student regarding the challenges around this identity change and regarding their safety. The goal is to create a mutually agreeable solution that allows all students in our district to be comfortable and supported. I believe as a district that we can always do a better job communicating, and I think with these challenging subjects, it's important that we communicate. However, in the case of transgender, what may have appeared to be silence or inaction, it's not. It's simply the staff and the administration working with discretion and respect and following the confines of the law. Now, that doesn't mean we don't have rules, and I want to remind everyone, we still have rules. We have rules in our school about norms surrounding bullying, dress codes, inappropriate behavior. If any student feels threatened by another student, if there's a violation of these rules, it's the responsibility of this school district to come forward and work to make sure that all our students are in a safe environment and it's a strong learning environment. When we think about transgender, though, we're talking a very, very small population. And in the committee of the whole, one of the suggestions was that somehow the 95% of our student body was a victim to the minority. And to that, I just can't agree. I cannot agree that the majority can ever be a victim to a minority. And we can look at history and we can look at what's going on in Ukraine right now, and you can see where a majority is claiming they're a victim and the outcome is just not good. So instead, I think what we have to do in these situations is recognize that transgender students, they're struggling in a society that doesn't offer them much space, and what they need more than anything is our compassion rather than our anger. As a board, we could spend our time attempting to create universal rules or policies that, as Attorney Renning pointed out, could easily be misinterpreted as discriminating against the transgender student. Instead, what I believe is it would be an inordinate amount of work with very small incidents, which would likely be ineffective, and ultimately, who would it serve? So, as a board, I think we have to stay focused on our responsibility to make this the best opportunity for our children to prepare for the 21st century. And to that end, I think we need to concentrate with our administrators and staff on the programs of education within our school, and that we treat gently the transgender student as a student that we will work with on a case-by-case basis to make the best educational opportunity environment for all our students. And that's my report. Dan?
Yes, my report again is a little bit similar, and I wanted to first of all thank everybody that participated and came to the meeting with Tony last week, and I thought we had some really good questions and trying to understand this this issue and around which there's a lot of emotion. And I wanted to follow up on a couple of specific things because I think there were. I'm going to make sure that it was clear. The question about communication, about what you can and can't communicate to people about a student in that protected class, so a transgender student. The basic rule of thumb is that under no circumstances, and this is from our attorney, under no circumstances should the district specifically identify a transgender student or provide enough personally identified information, which is even, I mean, this is how broad this is, even if it comes from the principal of the building where this transgender student is, that is already beyond what the law would sanction. That's too identifiable. So getting to the question about can we, without putting ourselves at financial and legal jeopardy, report that there is a student in a class and then, alert people to that fact, we simply, our legal counsel is saying, under no circumstances should you do that. So I just wanted to clarify that for the group, and because I think it was something that I know he touched on, but I think it was a little bit, it was kind of quick. It went quick in that part. So I think that was that part of it. And the other part is, I think when some of these issues come up, we would love to be able to talk to people. So there's Facebook and Twitter and social media are amplifiers of information. And so if something gets on there that is not accurate or it's not right, it all of a sudden travels all over the place and it becomes fact, and it could really be headed off very easily with a call to the administrator of the building or me, just in case it's not accurate. Also, it could be a way for us to find something out. We may not know something that's going on, in some little corner of some space, and it would be great for us to know that, and we could work together to make sure that we're doing our best. A good example of that is, I don't think our administrators can go to any conference currently without hearing about the notion that there is kitty litter in our bathrooms, or that there was a petition for kitty litter to be installed in the bathrooms. This goes back to that group of students who kind of identify as furry, like animals. It's not part of Title IX. It's not a protected class. But the rumor that was out there on wherever it is, somewhere in social media, kind of became this undeniable fact, and it's never been true. There's never been a petition. There's never been any kitty litter that anybody knows of in any of our buildings. Nobody's asked us to put any of those things in. I believe there was one case like in Indiana where somebody approached the board in order to ask for that and they were denied. But it became this thing that had really strong legs, and I've heard it from people and we don't. And if somebody brought some in, if a student brought some in just to try to get a rise out of people, they'd get in trouble, they'd probably get a detention or whatever. So it's not, it isn't something that we have. So I would just really love it if when there's an issue, if people could call us and we could talk about these things, and maybe we'll learn something. Maybe we'll find out there's something going on, but then also maybe we can help other people find out that this isn't going on. You don't have to, it's not something to worry about with what's happening. So I think these kinds of discussions are enlightening for us all, and I hope that as we continue, we can do more of them related. There's plenty of hot button issues out there, and I think that kind of pace is accelerating as well. And so we can find experts and bring people in and talk about things, but ultimately, if we continue to focus on our kids and reading and math and all of those kinds of important things, I know we've always worked well as a community in the past, and just look at the donations for the stuff that's going on here, and I think it's borne out in how people contribute and become part of things. And speaking of that, we have a lot of wonderful things to share today about our students and staff and community. First thing that I have here is we were awarded the Breakfast Hero Award in the district. And Karen Johnson is our food service director, and Jenny Gelzer, also works with them, and our entire food service staff worked hard, and there was no interruption of service for people that needed nutrition during the entire pandemic. Not every place can say that, and so it was available, and they did all kinds of different things. You probably remember back, meeting people out here in front of the different buildings and boxed lunches and trying to take orders, and it was was nice that they were recognized for that as breakfast heroes. So that was that was cool. Just got it in the mail. We didn't know it was coming.
Wow.
Another thing, we just had our musical, and a lot of people called in and talked about how great it was. I'll just read a couple of them. Good morning. I wanted to reach out and tell you how absolutely wonderful the musical was this past weekend. They did an outstanding job. I'm so happy to be part of a community that supports the arts, which we do. The work you all put into this performance really showed. We appreciate you and thank you. Another one, wonderful shows. Hello, I just wanted to thank the three of you, the people that are running the shows, for all you did to bring the musical to life. The shows were fun and the kids seemed to really enjoy every moment of it. I know it was a ton of extra work for you, but I know that it helped to make forever memories for those kids. This person especially loved the Ed Sullivan song, so that's very nice. Congratulations to everybody involved with the musical from last weekend. And of course, there's also great stuff happening in the elementaries. We've got Horizon is just recognized for the Battle of the Books. There are 213 schools, school districts that do a Battle of the Books. You have a team, and they compete to see how many books they can read. And this was a PEF grant where the books were funded by the Plymouth Education Foundation, so we had all these extra books. And our team finished 11th in the state, and this puts us in the top 5% of the state. So congratulations to that small group that started at Horizon. So obviously with that kind of success, you're gonna have more follow-up, and that is the point of the PEF grants.
Absolutely.
Also, the Academic Bowl, the PHS Academic Bowl is comprised of 5 students, 1 freshman, 1 sophomore, 1 junior, 1 senior, and they compete in all kinds of different things, and their advisors are Amanda Greenthal and Carrie Piper, and they had 12 students earned individual medals for their testing in Academic Bowl. Kevin Smith earned first place in physics. Carson Schwartz earned a first place in chemistry. Jacob Gruntner earned a first place in biology. Vivian Eisler tied for first place in algebra. Ella Bindle earned a 3rd place in British literature and Shakespeare. Here we go. Jillian Straub tied for 3rd place in American literature. So congratulations to all of them. And a fun thing happening over at Fairview, we're doing more and more hands-on science. Shelley Gill, a 4K teacher, is taking the kids from potatoes, old potatoes, cutting them up with their eyes, planting them, taking them all the way to new potatoes, and the report as of today is that the potatoes are growing. So they're actually growing. And Bob just told me that there's a new technology out there to make plastics out of potatoes.
Yeah, so
you're sitting on a gold mine.
Gold mine there.
So thank you, everybody, and appreciate the community as well.
Right. So that takes us to item 17, adjournment. I need a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion and second. All in favor, say yes.
Yeah.
This meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.